Ryan Garcia finally gets the best win for his young resume by knocking out Luke Campbell in the 7th round with a brutal body shot. Find out who he calls out next and what my thoughts are on those fights. For this and much more box talk, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Stay tuned. So Ryan Garcia gets an impressive win by knocking out Luke Coolhand Campbell in the 7th round with a body shot which looked like its initial trajectory was towards the head but ended up getting switched up. It put Campbell down, and unfortunately for the British fighter, he was not able to beat the count and get back up to continue. Although Luke Campbell did have an impressive 2nd round knockdown, most of the fight was dictated by the younger fighter in Ryan Garcia. Ryan was able to show true grit and heart and came back from what I honestly didn't think he was going to get up from that knockdown in the 2nd round and put on a pretty decent showing by beating Luke Campbell and ultimately knocking him out in the 7th. I think a lot of flaws showed for Ryan Garcia in this fight, but he is relatively young and he could develop those. What you can't develop is something like heart, and he does have that grit, he does have those guts, and he is willing to face the tougher names out there, or at least he claims he wants to. He has called out a lot of bigger names, and he has been calling those names out, and those names are Tank Davis, Devin Haney, and anybody else out there. I don't think that he fares too well against the likes of Tank Davis currently, especially because he is another southpaw fighter. But if he continues developing and perhaps works on his defensive flaws, and another thing that I did notice that I want to point out is his poor foot placement when facing a southpaw. Luke Campbell, I don't know if it was the experience that he has or how technically sound he is, but he always seemed to have the advantage in regards to foot placement, and that is very critical when you're facing a southpaw, especially if you're going to go against the likes of Gervonta Tank Davis, who's not only very explosive and has very destructive power, but he's very quick reflex and his angles are pretty impressive as well. So Ryan Garcia would need to take the advantage of foot placement when facing the likes of Tank. Nonetheless, it was an impressive win. He did what no one has been able to do, and he stopped Luke Campbell. Luke Campbell was proven at a top level, although he did fall short, but he did fight the likes of Linares and Vasily Lomachenko and gave both of them a very hard time out. Even though he was knocked down in those fights, he still made a good name for himself and put on solid performances against those top fighters at the lightweight division. But for Ryan Garcia to come through, although like I said, he was knocked down due to his leaky defense, he was able to walk through Luke Campbell pretty much and wear him down and ultimately knock him out. Luke Campbell did post on his Twitter after the fight, "Well, I'm honestly heartbroken. I really wanted to bring the win back for you all. I'm sorry for that. I hope you all enjoyed the fight. Have to take my hat off to King Ryan. Well done, and a massive future ahead of him. I wish him all the best." Luke, classy as always, showing a lot of sportsmanship. Also, after the fight, he went to King Ryan's locker and had a few exchanges of words there. He told Ryan in a jokingly manner that for a pretty boy, he could take a good shot. And Garcia also asked him, after having faced the likes of Lomachenko and Linares, who he thought hit the hardest, and of course Luke replied that it was King Ryan. Garcia was the fighter that hit the hardest and gave him his props. Nonetheless, it was a good fight. Garcia again showed flaws, but he did show a lot of heart, something that we had never seen before. He did show he could take a cracking punch, and he was able to come back from it, and showed another beautiful weapon in his arsenal with that finishing hook to the body, which really resembled a punch that Canelo likes to shoot as well, which is in a very similar fashion when they feint to go upstairs but change the trajectory of the punch and land downstairs. Moving on, I don't think Ryan Garcia is prepared to face the likes of Tank Davis right now, nor another name he called out in Pacquiao, especially Pacquiao. Pacquiao's in the twilight of his career. If he's going to face anybody, it's going to be the more solidified names at 147. And again, those are two weight divisions in between them, so I don't think that fight is even in the realms of possibility. So we're not going to discuss that too much. I just wanted to let you guys know which names he called out. But Devin Haney is the fight that he also mentioned, and of course it's the most doable fight, the most equal fight in terms of talent, because I think both fighters still have a ways to go and they need to continue developing, but they should face off against each other now. And that's a fight that Eddie Hearn talked about before the outcome of this fight being what the Zone wanted next for sometime in April or May. So I think that fight is very doable. I think Devin Haney is much more polished, but I think Ryan has a solid chance at becoming the WBC world champion at lightweight. And by having beaten Luke Campbell, Ryan earned that shot for an opportunity at taking that belt from Devin Haney. It'd be a great fight. Nonetheless, if he doesn't get that Haney fight, I think Ryan should continue developing and continue fighting other gatekeepers or contenders in the likes of Richard Comey, Nakatani, Jorge Linares, all these names that will continue helping him develop and learn new tools before facing the rest of the young guns and top talents at 135. I don't think he's ready for the likes of Vasily Lomachenko, Teofimo Lopez, or Tank Davis, but a fight against Haney or all those other names that I mentioned look like really good fights for Ryan Garcia. Nonetheless, I look forward to seeing Ryan Garcia back in the ring, hopefully against another top name, and see what he has worked on and developed further after this fight against Luke Campbell. If anything, this fight showed him a lot of his weaknesses, and hopefully him and his team are able to tackle those and correct those problems so he could become a more well-rounded fighter. I know Oscar went out on a limb recently saying that Ryan Garcia is the face of not only his promotional company but of the sport, and with this showing, although pretty decent, does not indicate that. Anyway, let me know who you think Ryan Garcia should be facing off against next. Give me a few names and let me know the outcomes of those fights. Do you think he'd beat Tank Davis right now? Do you think he beats Devin Haney? What about Lomachenko or Teofimo Lopez? Do you think he is the face of the sport? Let me know in the comment section below, and hit that like and subscribe button for this and many more videos to come. Like always, this is your boy Shay at King Me Boxing Channel, signing out.